When did you last have a conversation? A real one. Not a status update disguised as small talk, not a check-in engineered by a calendar invite, where you were completely, unhurriedly, genuinely present with another human being. When did you last sit in silence without reaching out for your phone within 60 seconds? Not because you needed something, just because the silence felt unbearable and the phone felt like company. When did you last finish a full day of work and feel genuinely connected to the people around you? Not networked, not messaged, not pinged, not slacked, not seen on LinkedIn, but actually humanly, warmly connected. And here's the one that's going to hit the hardest. When did you last admit to yourself, honestly, without the performance of productivity and purpose that most leaders put on like armor every morning, that you are freaking lonely? Not alone, lonely. There is a difference so significant that the US Surgeon General issued an 81-page federal report about it in 2023. Lonely in the specific, modern, almost surreal way that is possible only in an era where you can be simultaneously connected to 3,000 people online and genuinely known by almost none of them. Because here's the thing nobody in your leadership development program has had the courage to say out loud. The most connected generation of leaders in human history is also the most isolated. And the technology that promised to bring us together, the platforms, the tools, the always on connectivity that we have built our professional lives inside, is the primary architect of the isolation it is now selling us solutions to fix. This is not an accident. This is a business model. And it is running inside your organization, inside your leadership team, and inside your own nervous system right now, every single fucking day. Welcome to the H2H experiment. I am João and I am your host. Today we go after two crises that are almost always discussed separately: the loneliness epidemic and the attention economy. And we make the argument that should have been made years ago. They are the same crisis, the same machine, the same crime committed at two different scales. And understanding that connection is one of the most important things a leader can do in this particular moment in history. In May 2023, US Surgeon General Vivek Murthy released an 81-page federal advisory on what he called an epidemic of loneliness and isolation. Social isolation increases the risk of premature death by 29%. Being chronically lonely is equivalent to the health impact of smoking 15 fucking cigarettes per day. 15. It increases the risk of heart attack, stroke, and dementia. Half of American adults report experiencing loneliness. Half. Americans spent about 20 minutes a day in person with friends in 2020, down from 60 minutes daily nearly 2 decades earlier. Young people aged 15 to 24, the people entering your workforce right now, reported a 70% drop in time spent with friends over the same period. 70% in less than 20 years. A 70% collapse in the amount of time the youngest generation of professionals spend in genuine human company. Now, hold that number and add the attention economy picture. The average screen-based attention span dropped to 47 seconds in 2024, down from over 2 minutes in 2004. Workers switch tasks an average of 566 times across an 8-hour workday. Nearly one task switch every 51 seconds. And the finding that should stop every leader in this audience cold. Research published in the Journal of the Association of Consumer Research, the Brain Drain study from the University of Texas at Austin, found that even the mere presence of a smartphone on a desk, face down, unused, silent, reduces available cognitive capacity, because the brain is continuously allocating attentional resources to managing the possibility of a notification. Your phone doesn't have to be in your hand to be still in your mind. It just has to be in the same room. A meta-analysis of 26 longitudinal studies involving 24,798 individuals revealed bidirectional relationships between loneliness and problematic media use. Loneliness drives compulsive media use, and compulsive media use deepens loneliness. The machine that is stealing your attention is also manufacturing your loneliness, and the loneliness it manufactures make you more dependent on the machine. This is not a side effect. This is the design. Meta, ByteDance, Alphabet, X, the companies that built the infrastructure of modern attention have one documented, non-negotiable engineering objective: maximize time on platform. Not connection, not well-being, not meaning. Time on platform. Because time on platform is the inventory they sell to advertisers. Former Google design ethicist Tristan Harris has testified to the US Senate that these platforms are specifically engineered to replace genuine human connection with a simulation of it. Likes instead of love, comments instead of conversation, followers instead of friends, engagement metrics that trigger the same neurochemical rewards as real social connection, the same oxytocin, the same dopamine hit, but without any of the vulnerability, reciprocity, or genuine presence that make real connection actually nourishing. You are getting the neurochemical taste of human connection without the calories. And like any nutritionally empty food, it leaves you hungrier than before you started eating. The Open Plan Office, promoted as a collaboration tool, it is a distraction machine with better branding. Microsoft's own research found that it takes an average of 23 minutes to fully regain focused attention after an interruption. In an open plan office with a culture of always on messaging, that recovery never happens. Your people are spending entire days in a state of continuous partial attention, never fully here, never fully anywhere, perpetually available and perpetually absent. A 2023 Microsoft Work Trend Index found that time spent in Teams meetings had tripled since 2020. Tripled. And the research on what those meetings actually produce in terms of genuine connection, genuine decision making, genuine creative output is damning. Most meetings are not where work happens, they are where the performance of busyness happens. You have built a machine that keeps everyone perpetually busy and almost no one genuinely present. And then you wonder why your engagement survey scores look the way they do. Now, let's talk about the neuroscience of it. The human brain evolved for a social environment of approximately 150 people, what anthropologist Robin Dunbar called Dunbar's number, in which relationships were deep, sustained, face to face, and embedded in shared physical experience. This is the social environment our neurology was built to operate in. Neuroscientist Matthew Lieberman at UCLA, in his landmark work, Social: Why Our Brains Are Wired to Connect, documented that social pain activates the same neural circuitry as physical pain. Being excluded, rejected, or chronically alone register in the brain as damage, as a threat to survival. Research by neuroscientist John Cacioppo at the University of Chicago found that chronic social isolation dysregulates the hypothalamic, pituitary, adrenal axis, the brain's core stress response system. Cortisol levels rise. The immune system becomes dysregulated. The brain enters a state of hypervigilance, scanning for threat, interpreting ambiguous social signals as hostile, withdrawing further from the genuine connection that would resolve the crisis. Loneliness makes you worse at the very thing that would cure it. It makes social engagement feel more threatening, more cognitively expensive, more likely to end in rejection. And so the lonely person withdraws, and the screen fills the space, and the loneliness deepens. Now add the attention dimension. Neuroscientist Earl Miller at MIT has documented what we call multitasking is neurologically impossible. The brain switches rapidly between tasks, and each switch carries a cognitive cost, a residue of the previous task that contaminates the next one, degrading the quality of attention available for each. The brain switching tasks 566 times a day is not a highly productive brain. It is an exhausted one. And here's the leadership dimension. The research shows that leaders who are chronically distracted are measurably less empathic, less able to read the emotional states of the people around them, less capable of the genuine presence that makes people feel seen, valued, and genuinely connected. Your distraction is not just costing you your focus, it is costing your people their connection to you, to the organization, to each other. We have all seen it. Perfect executive, the perfect one. Polished, buttoned up, delivering a sanitized script with the mechanical precision of a news broadcaster. They are technically flawless, and yet, sitting in that audience, you feel absolutely nothing. The corporate world has taught us to hide behind slides, to muffle our heartbeats with tailored suits, and to use jargon as a shield. We were told that executive presence meant being impenetrable. We were told wrong. My new book, Shut Up and Feel, is the definitive antidote to the corporate script. It's not about improving your public speaking. It's about unlearning the performance. It's about the neurobiology of your presence, the architecture of your silence, and the radical courage it takes to be human in a world of robots. Stop trying to survive the stage. Start owning the room. Shut Up and Feel is available now on Amazon. You can find the link right here in the show notes of the episode. Drop the armor. It's time to connect. Now let's jump to philosophy. The Roman Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote in a letter to his friend Lucilius something so precise in its diagnosis of the modern condition that it is almost impossible to believe it was written in 65 AD. He who is everywhere is nowhere. Seneca was writing about the Roman equivalent of the distracted mind. The person who rushes from social obligation to social obligation, from entertainment to stimulation, from crowd to crowd, never sitting still long enough to actually inhabit their own experience. Blaise Pascal wrote in his Pensées in 1670, all of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. The restless, distraction seeking, entertainment hungry quality of human consciousness was not a feature of the human condition, but a flight from it, a flight from the discomfort of genuine self encounter, of genuine presence. The philosopher Simone Weil, writing in the 20th century, argued that genuine attention was not merely a cognitive skill, but a moral one. That the capacity to be genuinely present with another human being, to attend to them fully, to let their reality actually reach you, was the foundational act of love, of justice, of genuine human community. Weil called distracted attention a form of violence, not dramatic violence, quiet violence, the violence of being in someone's presence and not actually being there. Think about the meeting where you are physically present and mentally elsewhere, half reading an email, half processing a Slack notification. Think about the one-on-one where your phone is face down on the table, a gesture of presence that is simultaneously a reminder of absence. Think about the performance review where you are going through the motions of genuine engagement while your attention is already on the next agenda item. You are committing Vile's quiet violence every day against the people who most need you to actually be there. And they feel it, not always consciously, but they feel it. In the way the conversation never quite reaches depth, in the way the relationship stays perpetually at the surface, warm enough to be functional, shallow enough to never become real. Now, let's go to a case study. Picture a mid sized technology company, let's call it Nexus, that by every conventional metric of organizational health looks exceptional. Slack responses time under 3 minutes, meeting attendance above 90%, thousands of internal messages per day, a CEO who sends personal video messages every Friday, a culture deck that uses the word community 14 times. Nexus is, in the language of its own people team, hyper connected. And then in 2023, they conduct a genuine organizational health survey. not the sanitized engagement survey designed to produce reassuring numbers for the executive, but a serious diagnostic developed with an organizational psychologist. The results are so uncomfortable that the people team sits on them for 6 weeks before sharing with leadership. 61% of Nexus employees report feeling lonely at work at least several times a week. 74% say they do not have a single genuine friendship, not a functional working relationship, a genuine friendship with a colleague. 83% report feeling unable to bring their full authentic selves to any professional context. And the number one cultural experience reported across every level, the feeling of being perpetually visible and perpetually unknown. Perpetually visible, perpetually unknown. The organizational face of the loneliness epidemic. The CEO reads this data and does not understand it because from where he sits, surrounded by a constant flow of messages, meetings, video calls, pings, and notifications, the company has never been more connected. What it has built without meaning to is the organizational equivalent of a social media platform, an environment optimized for the performance of connection rather than the experience of it. The fix, when it came, was not technological. Nexus eliminated 2/3 of its recurring meetings. It instituted a company-wide no Slack policy on Fridays. It required every manager to have at least one genuine, agenda-free conversation with each team member every 2 weeks. Not a check-in, a conversation. It created physical spaces designed for nothing except unstructured human interaction. No screens, no agenda, no productivity objective. Within 18 months, loneliness metrics had halved. Voluntary attrition had dropped by a third. Innovation output, measured by patents filed and products shipped, had increased by 40%. The most productive thing Nexus ever did was created the conditions for its people to actually know each other. Now, the loneliness epidemic and the attention crisis cannot be solved with a wellness initiative, a mindfulness app, or a beautiful team building day. That's usually bullshit. Those responses are the organizational equivalent of offering a cigarette to someone suffering from lung cancer. So let's go through some points that you can use. First, protect attention as a strategic asset, yours and your team's. The most important resource in your organization is not capital, not technology, not talent in the abstract. It is the focused human attention of your people. Do a meeting audit. Eliminate every recurring meeting that does not have a documented decision or outcome. Institute protected deep work time, blocks of 2 to 4 hours, non-negotiable, no meetings, no Slack, no email, for every person in your organization at least 3 times a week. In your phone, put it in another room when you are in a conversation that matters, not face down the table, another room. Second, replace the performance of connection with the infrastructure of it. The one-on-one is the most underutilized leadership tool available to you, not the status update one-on-one. The genuine, curiosity-driven, agenda-light conversation in which your only objective is to understand what the person across from you is actually experiencing in their work, in their growth, in their relationship with the organization. No phone, no laptop, no other agenda, just presence. Do this consistently, and you will discover things about your organization that no survey, no 360, no data dashboards will ever surface. Third, name the loneliness directly in the room as a leader. The loneliness epidemic is invisible inside organizations because nobody names it. Name it. Tell your team in direct, specific, underperformed language that you are aware that the pace and connectivity demands of modern organizational life make genuine connection structurally difficult, that you take that seriously, that you are going to do specific, concrete things about it, not because it's good for engagement scores, because it's the right thing to do for human beings who spend a third of their waking lives inside the organization you lead. And fourth, become genuinely, measurably less distracted. Our always on availability, our perpetual connectivity, our 20 browser tab existence has been dressed up as leadership commitment, as responsiveness, as dedication. It is none of those things. It is avoidance. Avoidance of the discomfort of genuine presence, of the vulnerability of actually being known. The most important leadership decision you will make this week is not strategic, it is attentional. It is a decision to be actually, fully, genuinely here. Now, let's move to my favorite part of every episode, the H2H experiment of the week. This one is called the 72-hour attention inventory. This is experiment one. For the next 72 hours, carry a small notebook, physical, not digital, every time you reach for your phone out of habit rather than necessity, in a conversation, in a meeting, in a moment of silence, in the first 30 seconds of waking up, make a mark. Do not judge it, just mark it. At the end of 72 hours, count the marks. That number is the size of the loneliness you are manufacturing in your own life and the lives of the people around you. Experiment 2. The genuine conversation. Identify one person in your organization who you suspect is really lonely, not visibly struggling. The loneliness epidemic is mostly invisible. Someone who is competent and contained and quietly not quite known. Ask to meet with them. Leave your phone behind. Sit with them without an agenda for 30 minutes. Ask one question. What's actually going on for you right now? Not professionally, humanly. And what do you need that you are not getting? Then be completely, uncomfortably, non-performatively silent. What comes into that silence will be one of the most important things you have ever heard as a leader, because it will be true. And truth, genuine, unmanaged, human truth, is the rarest and most valuable thing in any organization. All right, now let's wrap up this episode. The loneliness epidemic and the attention crisis were not inevitable. They were engineered by platforms optimizing for engagement over well being, by organizational cultures that mistook connectivity for community, by a professional world that rewarded busyness so consistently and so completely that genuine presence became almost impossible to justify. The cure is not a fucking app, it's not a wellness program. It is not a bullshit team building day or cultural initiative or beautiful slide decks. It is presence. Genuine, sustained, non performative human presence offered consistently by leaders who have the courage to put down the machine long enough to actually be here. The most powerful thing you can give another human being is your full, undivided, unperformed presence. And in 2026, that is the rarest gift there is. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If it resonated with you, I'll ask you to follow us so that you can get an update whenever we launch a new episode. Thank you once again. Thank you for your presence. See you next time. Bye.